Hello and welcome back to In Spirit with Missy Reno Smith.
And I'm Vanna Smith. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the apocalypse.
Yes, everybody's favorite topic.
Yeah. So let's talk about why does apocalypse or apocalypse, whatever the plural of that is, why do they happen?
Yeah, I call it a reset.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Earth or another planet or whatever, it needs to be reset. For whatever reason, and there are multiple reasons why this could be. Sometimes it's because we're meddling.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to meddle with God's work. Do not meddle with God's work.
Don't mess with God's work.
God made us a certain way, and if we start messing with our bodies, if we start messing and splicing DNA and things like this, we are treading on some really murky water here.
Yeah.
we're sort of trudging through the mud and we're about to get sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think we should do that. I think we should leave our DNA alone. I know that we're making breakthroughs and, there are things that we could do to make our lives better and everything. Yeah. But if we really, really start messing with that, then there could be a reset in our future. And, if we start trying to I want to see what a half man, half lion is. No, don't go there. Don't do it. Do not do it. Scientists, if you're listening, don't. I don't want
Jurassic Park's warning. Don't make dinosaurs.
Don't make the dinosaurs. Don't make a half man, half lion. No, we really shouldn't be. We're not God.
Yeah. So
let's not try to take God's role.
Mm-hmm.
There are just we're creators too. I get it. We're made in God's image. We are the children of God. And sometimes we get a little cocky and we think we can do everything, but we can't.
It's because when you kind of feel that you can do something, it's like, oh, well, it has to be done, because you can do it, you should do it, but that's not always the case. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Right. So that's one thing that could cause a reset. And I believe that the people of Atlantis were splicing. Mm-hmm. They were messing with things. They were, they had just gotten to this point where it was no turning back, and God had to just say, boop, reset. He just, send in the flood, and then off we go. So, it could be us. It could just be that it's time for a change. Yeah. That's a little scary. Just when God thinks it's time for a change.
God's just a little bored, so he's just clicks the big red button, reset.
Yeah, hits that reset button, and stuff just starts happening. So, there's different reasons, and we've been reset multiple times on this planet. There has been a flood. Mm-hmm. That is real. That happened. That was the people of Atlantis. Yep. And, but there were resets even before then. In the Hindu texts, they talk about nuclear war and such. There was a reset then. And, it was major, major disaster. And I think scientists have even, figured out there are places on Earth that we're clearly part of some sort of ancient nuclear disaster.
And that's really scary because, now in current times, in the past 100 years, we've gotten nuclear weapons.
Yes, we have these again. And, when we have them, we're not so great with them. Mm-hmm. And, we got to be careful.
It just takes one country to click that big red button, and then we're all being wiped out.
Yeah. And, and that's a pretty major reset. But I in history, we see small resets, too. Yeah. The bubonic plague, that was a bit of a reset.
Yeah, 10% of the world population died during the plague.
It's
huge. Insane. That's a lot of people.
Yes, that's huge. It might have even been more than that.
I think it was somewhere around 10%, something like that. Unless I'm thinking of the Spanish flu.
Might be the Spanish flu, because I think we lost a lot more during the bubonic plague. But
a lot of people in Europe died specifically during the plague. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you
kind
know,
of all
so
over, though, but, yeah.
it was a way to sort of thin out the population. And not because, like, I don't want people to be scared, like, because, you know, the Earth's population is as high as, you know, it's pretty high right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, we're not aware of a time where there was more people than there are here, but right now. But this planet can hold far, like, you don't have to be scared of that. Like, this planet truly can hold far, far more.
This place could hold giant dinosaurs for a very long time, and tons of them.
It can hold us. And, you know, we're going to get smart about building. We're going to get smart about farming practices. We're going to get smarter and smarter. And not that we should be meddling again, though. We have to be careful of our food supply. But we are going to get smarter about how we do things and how we live. Consumerism is going to go away. We're going to be going back to different values, I think, in the future. And, you know, the items and the things that we need and use will be made to last. Right now, they're not made to last. They're made to be consumed.
It's better. It was better, like, in, like, the 50s, where things were, like, glass jars, they were metal, they were things that could be recycled. Now we have all this, like, plastic and extra stuff. It's much harder to recycle.
Yes, we're going to be moving back to a time where the things that we buy, they actually work. Like, there are vacuums from the 50s that still work today. And, you know, when you think about the vacuums that we can buy now, they're horrific.
They last like a year.
They're horrible. They're meant to be consumed. And this needs to end. I think we people need to demand that we need to start really researching and finding these things that actually are meant to last, and we need to make those purchases.
Like we even just recently did with the vacuum situation. We bought a vacuum that's meant to last because we're tired of throwing away vacuums. When you got 2 dogs, you vacuum a lot, so
and used. I found another one too called a Filter Queen or something, and I want to get that one. It's really expensive, but it's meant to last. And the Filter Queens from the 50s are still working today. So, like, we need to get smart. We need to start, we need to stop with the consumerism. We need to put ourselves in a position where we're being good stewards of God's resources. Let's show God that we are caring for the gifts that we have, and that we can do this, and then we can stay, you know, as long as we're not meddling, as long as we're taking care of each other, and, you know, like, you know, we're taking care of this planet, which is a gift to us, a place for us to come and learn. You know, we're respectful to, you know, nature, and we're respectful for the animals that are here for us as well. You know, we live off of their bodies. We, you know, they do so many things for us. Like, you know, so we need to get smarter, and we need to show God that we know what we're doing, so we can keep going, and, you know, and we don't have to worry about, you know, these resets, as long as we're doing that. But if we're not, then we do have to sort of
if someone's throwing away a bunch of stuff they shouldn't be, and if someone's making some dinosaurs for a theme park, we should be a little concerned.
Yeah, I think, and, you know, I do think that it's like we're going through a time period of learning consumerism and that, and I think that it's an important part, and we're all learning something from it so that we can come through it. So I don't feel like we all have to, like, be, like, super scared about that one in particular, but it is important because you know, we can't sustain this.
And my generation and also Gen Alpha are, you know, doing a lot, I think, just kind of helping out with that. You know, I think our generation's kind of tired of all this stuff, and really, I think, are going to make a huge change, hopefully.
I hope so. But I think people of all ages right now are getting smart. I hear it. I hear it a lot. I hear frustration in people of all ages, and so I think everybody's getting smarter. But yeah, it's important. You know, young people coming up, and you know, it's important, but it's been important for a long time. Like my generation, like we were, recycle and all of that. Like this was huge for us, but here we are. We're still today. I mean, these problems are hard to solve, but that's why we as consumers need to make demands, and we need smart people out there creating new companies. So let's show God that we know how to do this, that we want to be here, and all of that. I mean, I really think that it's sort of easy to avoid these resets if we are smart. And it's not that they're punishments. I don't want it to sound like that either. It's just we get to a point where it's, whatever is happening just cannot be sustained. Yeah. We're causing too much damage, like if we're splicing and changing DNA and, we're messing with things. I don't think we should be messing with our immune systems. I don't think we should be messing with any of these things. That God is smart. God knew what God was doing when they created us. So
you say it's not a punishment, but it is in a way a little bit, because it's like we sort of did it. We were the ones that weren't taking care of the planet, or we started doing these things that we shouldn't be doing, whether it's splicing or messing with our own bodies.
It's not done in anger, if that helps. I think maybe that's more what I mean. It's not done in anger. It is a reaction to, it's a consequence. And yes, there are consequences to actions, but it's not done in anger. It's not like, like thunderbolts coming down and like, I'm so angry with you. It's just like, oh God, guys, all right, well, we can't sustain this, so let's just, all right, reset, we'll start over.
It's like when I did something wrong as a kid and you'd be like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Sort of, yes.
Go stick your nose in the corner.
Yeah, sort of.
We have to go stick our noses in the corner.
Yeah, we do. And what happens, when it's reset, there are less bodies to come into. So then we have to wait longer between lives before we can come in, and at least on this particular planet. And Earth is a rough planet. Yep. It's one of the... It's a place that so many people want to come to because there is so much negativity here. There's so much to learn, so many challenges to overcome here. Yep. So many of us are like, in line, just waiting to come here. And so if we reduce the population so greatly, there's just less opportunities and that. And so it sucks. Yeah. I don't know how else to put it. It just sucks. So it's rough. But, these resets are also part of the plan, too. I mean, like, we can't discount that. They offer challenges. Like, can you imagine, all right, being in the apocalypse? Like, it's happening.
I'm going to rule the apocalypse if it ever happens in my lifetime.
So, like, we all think that,
Oh, no, I don't think it. I know it.
Yeah, well, maybe you can, but not me. Like, I can, like, fantasize and, like, I'm going to just go at it. Like, I'm going to get my gun. I'm just going to go out into the world and I'm going to do it. But no, like, I mean, if it comes to a fight, for anything, like, this body's not built for fighting, not mine.
The only thing I'd really be worried about would be, like, illness. I think if I were to catch some sort of illness, like a plague or something, I think that I would probably be out. But if it's something like zombies, oh yeah, I'm living.
Oh, we all want the zombie apocalypse, right?
It's gonna stink. It's gonna stink so bad.
Very smelly.
Those rotting corpses walking everywhere, and you can't shower. People are just going to be going to the bathroom all over the place. It's going to get kind of gross, and I might not want to stick around after a while for that, but otherwise, I'd be killing a bunch of zombies, having a ton of fun.
Yeah, as long as they're like the Walking Dead zombies, where they're just a slow walk. I mean,
not World War Z.
No, I can't go up against them once. Like, they're just too fast. My body's built for walking.
But in World War Z, they had a weakness. That is, if you had a compromised immune system, and that's me as well, they don't touch you. So I would survive because they wouldn't want anything to do with my body.
Okay, so World War Z, you're right. I have a weakness, and the weakness of that virus is weakness.
Our weaknesses is our strength.
All right, so maybe I could survive that, yeah. But no, the Walking Dead zombies, would that ever actually happen? Will the dead rise? No.
Hopefully.
No, the dead are not going to rise, not like that. It would be so grotesque and scary if that happened. My God. Yeah. Yikes. Would not want that.
I would want to recreate that scene in Shaun of the Dead where they're in the bar and they got, what was it? It was a Queen song, and it's like right at the top of my head. It was a Queen song, and they were all like hitting the zombie to the beat.
Yeah.
Me and you could do that if there's a zombie apocalypse.
We could maybe do that.
And then
I love that movie.
If you get infected, they kind of still have a little bit of brains to them in Shaun of the Dead. We can play video games like they do in the end,
If I get infected, you can tie me up and we'll play video games.
In the shed, and then we'll play some video games, yeah. Anytime you try to eat me, I'll just be like, stop, Mama, don't do that. Just play your video games.
You're going to have to feed
eat some
me
pizza
something.
or something. And
like, bring me a cat or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll bring you some cats.
I don't want to eat a dog, so.
Maybe some small dogs.
No, I love dogs too much.
Chickens. Bring you some chickens.
Chicken. Bring me some chickens. That would be fine. But, yeah, no, the zombie apocalypse is certainly fun to think about. There is not enough apocalyptic programming for me. I consume all of it. Okay, anything that gets put out, if it's about the apocalypse, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, we are an apocalypse watching family for movies. Also space, too, but a lot of apocalypse.
Yeah. I'm really, really interested in the apocalypse. I think so much so because I get to ask about it and be like, why? And, it scares me a little bit. I do look forward in the future, and I do see that we're here. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking forward 100, maybe 200 years, I see us here. However, I do see our population is lowered, and I do not see that as a good thing.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like it's a very negative thing that our population has been lowered. And people don't look happy about it. Mm-hmm. So that is something that I see looking far into the future.
Do you think that it could be from illness, or is it from some sort of world disaster, or is it just, there's been a lot of problems just even now with infertility rates have risen, something like that maybe?
Yeah, I think it has more to do with a physical thing. And so illness and fertility rates and such, just choice, people not having as many babies. Yeah. Demographic winter is what we call it when the population is declining too fast. It's, it's really easy to grow, but it's not easy to shrink.
Yeah, because when you grow, you create all these bigger things, more things, even like jobs, things that need to be done. But then when you shrink it, it's really, really hard to, because there's not enough people to maintain what you've already built.
It's very difficult. So demographic winter is not a good thing. I do not see our planet as needing to have a reduction in population, but yet, and I think we're going to get smarter and we're going to be fine, but at some point, we're going to be experiencing this demographic winter, because again, when I look far into the future, the population has been reduced, and it's not a good thing. So I'm hoping maybe there's a way to avoid that, maybe be us being aware of it, and we get some smart people on this. We just get people thinking, and how do we take better care of ourselves and this planet that we're on, and let's have some babies.
Yeah.
Let's create bodies for more people to come into, to experience this world. I think that we should be having large families. I just do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, not necessarily all of the low birth rates is from environmental. Some of it is just societal.
It's choice. Yes.
And it's hard in this day and age, with all these whoops. It's hard these days with all of these rising food prices, rising housing prices, to have children, because most people can't even afford more than one kid. To raise one kid is costing now what would have costed a long time ago to raise like 4 kids. It's that insane, So it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, families need to have 2 kids just to replace themselves, just to replace both parents. And so that means to grow, we need to have at least 3 kids. I mean, approximately, obviously not every family is going to. It sort of works itself out as a percentage, a part of a percentage or whatever, and but so we definitely have to keep our birth rate higher than 2, and for families and that you need to have more than 2 kids. It's got to be 2 point something or 3 something. I mean, to grow. And and you're right. And people aren't doing it because it's difficult. It's very expensive, and I get that.
I mean, most families, both parents have to work jobs, so it's hard to give your attention to a child. It's hard to raise a kid in this society now.
It's very different, yeah. And so, and I think, we've moved into a different phase of life here. And I mean, I get it. I went the traditional route. I was a homemaker. I mean, I even homeschooled you kids. And had 3 children, so we
were very lucky with that, to have a parent that could stay home and do that. Most people don't have that. Their parents are constantly working.
Right. And I recognize the difference for people and that. But I really do hope that that we think about it a little bit, because it's important.
And a lot of my generation kind of don't want to have children because it is so hard to financially take care of them. A lot of them feel kind of hopeless with it, like, oh, well, if these costs never start to go down, then I can't have kids.
But, there are also some wonderful things happening, too. Like now we're capable of having children later in life, too. And so I think it's okay if people are waiting, too, waiting until they're older. I have friends that are my age, and they're just now having their first child. My children are all grown. They've all graduated college and that. But some of my friends who are the same exact age are just now having their children, and I think it's wonderful. So I think whenever we have them is great. And I also think it's okay for people that aren't having them, too, because we all have a different life plan and that. But I just hope that in a general sense, as we're moving forward, we don't think about it in terms of, oh, we're overpopulating, we're doing this. I mean, no, we're going to be okay. We're more worried about this demographic winter than we are about overpopulation and that. And so I hope people will start to think a little bit differently. And that, and just send us, we need more souls here. We need more, more people to come in, and, there's more work to be done here, and we can do it. We can show, we can show God that we can do it, and, we don't have to have this sort of reset, like I think, I mean, what I'm looking at would be like a partial reset, then, really, just like we saw with bubonic plague, and that is, and I think I'm looking 150, 200 years in the future.
I think a lot of people are more worried about it now because with what happened with COVID, so it's kind of on people's mind, and hopefully that will kind of help spark a change. We need to take care of this planet, take care of ourselves, and all that. But after a reset has happened, does God kind of like decide who gets to live? Is only specific people allowed to live, like scientists, doctors, or is he just kind of wiping out anybody?
I believe that there's a plan. So who would survive is very important, because first of all, the breeders, the people who would be having the children, bloodlines. We want healthy bloodlines, and we want it doesn't matter, like culturally or anything, like God doesn't care about any of that. But like, healthy people. So we would want, healthy people, as many healthy people as possible to continue on, the human race. But then we also need people who are maybe staying for their wisdom that they have. They have skills. They have, information to be passed on to the next generation, and that. So some people would be chosen because of what they give back, and I would hope that God would want a medium.
Just someone to tell you the future.
Yeah, so if God needs one of those for the future, I'm like, I've got my hand raised. I'll do it.
Hopefully God would want to keep someone like me, a storyteller.
I
mean, someone's got to document it, Yeah. It's very important for future generations to know both what happened and how it was solved, Very important.
Absolutely. So I think that you would have an important job, but I think you also have other skills. I think I, maybe have some other skills too, and so
you can feed the dogs.
I can feed the dogs. That's what I do. I feed my dogs, and like I can take care of the animals. I could do things. No, I think there are things that we can do. I mean, I think it's important for people to think about skills and things that they might have if we didn't have electricity, if we didn't how would you do things? And I mean, it's important to sort of know how, because there's so many things. I mean, there are lots of things that could happen in this world, not necessarily an apocalypse and that, but things could happen, and we might not have access to grocery stores as easily, or, how do you grow food, and how do you, I think everybody should sort of think about these things, like what would they do, just in case, and I also think it's important for people to prepare for life's challenges, and stockpiling, supplies and things, that you might need, not because the zombies are going to rise or anything, but what if you lose your job, and if you had a food supply, to get you through a few months, that's important. So I think people should think about these things, not necessarily in like this sort of doom and gloom, scary thing, but like, well, what about just life in general happening, and how can I be prepared?
And I think a lot of people are thinking more about that too, especially after COVID, because you couldn't get toilet paper, you couldn't get water, like that's like basic things that they were all out of. So it can be scary.
It was very scary, and that was just, gosh, that was really, that to me, that was almost like a practice run of, you know what I mean? Like there's, real stuff happening, and it was, scary for people, and, people passed away, and, but like, but ultimately I think, God was kind of showing us like, hey guys, let's be prepared. We don't, if something like this happens, we need to know. You need to know your food community. People need to know, in their community, where do you go for food, and, what could you provide, because as a, small community, like if everybody knows how to provide something, if everybody can do something, then you come together and like suddenly you've got, all these different things, because this person is growing that and they're growing this, and we can trade, and then we've got more variety. And I think it's important for people to sort of know what is local, and, and then what could you do?
Where's your nearest farm, things like that. And also, I think it's probably good for people to pick up books and things to know, specifically books on the plants and things in your area.
Yes.
Like we live in the desert, we'd want to know like what sort of desert plants can we eat? Where could I go to go find some sort of like fruit or anything that I could need? Where do I need to go to find a natural medicine or something like that? How do I make that myself? It's important to have those kinds of books, I think, too.
Absolutely, and they need to be like physical books, because what if you don't have the internet?
Yep.
And, if we didn't have that available to us, all of this knowledge that we sort of have on our phones and our computers, and like, oh my God, I can't get to it. Yeah. And, it was all there. I had it, but, no, you don't have anything now, so, having actual books on these things, and how to homesteading, basically, some homesteading books, and maybe some books with a little bit of knowledge about a lot of different things, and then I think your advice is really important. Your local area.
Yep.
What can you find? What could you forage for? For food or medicine.
Yep. How do you regrow things? Like if you cut down a plant or something, you want to know, how can I grow another one of these? Because it might run out of plants.
Yeah, whatever. Certain things come back every year. Certain things don't. And what do you do? If you take medications, I think it's important to know what would be a natural alternative to this medication that I take. It's not going to be perfect, but it might be something.
It's something you can trade too,
Absolutely.
Especially if you can make like a pain medication too. Because I imagine when you're going through like an outaging of things, or like an apocalypse or something, you're gonna have a lot of like pain, like back pain, you're lifting heavy things, or headaches, or whatever it may be.
One of the things I think would be very profitable for people is if they know how to make alcohol.
Yeah.
If they can distill alcohol, and
it has a lot of purposes.
It has a lot of purposes. And then people are willing to trade food for alcohol. Some people would be willing to trade that. And so alcohol is one of those things, like if you're stockpiling it, but eventually it would run out, so how do you distill it? So if you had the equipment and you could make some moonshine, something.
Get a little drunk while the zombies are knocking at your door.
That's right. Yeah. And so I think that there are, like, if we all are kind of just getting smart and thinking about these things, like what would we do? And just having some supplies, like how do you can?
Yep.
How do you do that? Like, if you don't know anything, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, things have to last through the winter, and they also have to last through summer months, because things can melt, things can,
Yeah, you have to preserve food, and because you can't always eat your harvest, and then your harvest only, it's only good for so long, so you got to can it, you got to preserve it somehow. You got to know how to do these things.
Yep.
If you don't know how to do them, then
there's gonna have to be a lot of problem solving in an apocalypse type situation. Because you fix one thing, then suddenly another issue arises.
Yeah, problem solver. People who are good at problem solving, they would make it.
Yep.
And people who are just like resourceful, people who are, I think people who just like can just make decisions, and I think people who are really indecisive, and people who that it's just going to be hard for you. You just have to like pick a way and go sometimes. And so I don't know. So I mean, I think there's a certain personality type that is going to make it.
And that's why I would survive in the apocalypse.
I'm
very determined. I choose the path, choose what to do, and I'm resourceful. I
am a creature of comfort. Like I'm really going to struggle. Like it's just going to be hard for me. So like, I don't know, if I would make it or not. Do I want to make it? I don't know. Yeah, you were right. It's going to be a stinky world.
Yeah, it's going to be very stinky.
It's a very smelly, stinky world. And do I want to? And, I've had my babies. Like, I don't, I'm not going to be contributing more in that regard. Like, I think I have abilities. I have things that are helpful in emergencies. Like, it's nice to be able to talk to heaven and get their opinion and get their help and all of that. So I think I have something to offer, and I do have some skills and knowledge about how to care for myself in a period where there's no grocery store and that. But, but ultimately what I want to survive, I don't know. I mean, it would really, I think, depend on, you kids surviving and me just wanting to be there for you.
Mm-hmm. But I think in an apocalypse, you could start an apocalypse cult.
I could. Yes, I could.
And that would be valuable if you've got a lot of people who are helping out, wanting to join the cult.
But I wouldn't, it would have to be a cult for good. It would have to be like, like I'm trying to help people and like, and if they're going to help me in return, that's wonderful. But like, it would have to be something good, because I just wouldn't be able to have like some like negative, nasty, yucky thing, like where people are not, happy or safe or whatever. But yeah, I definitely could. I think that there would be people that would want to help me continue on because of the gifts that I have. And if that were the case, I would not want to take that for granted. That would be a huge gift if people were helping me survive because of what I provide, and I would want to respect that and be gracious and and that. But yeah, I think you're right. There would be people that would be willing.
But when I imagine the apocalypse, I mostly imagine me, Dad, and Olivia surviving. You and Trevor, you're probably out.
I think Trevor would be great.
No, something tells me he might just like mess up and like fall off a cliff. He wouldn't die of like whatever's killing other people in the apocalypse. He would die because he did something to mess up on his own.
Well, I don't know. I think he'd be great. I think he'd survive. I think I could see us also all like banding together to keep Olivia alive for some reason. Like, I don't know why,
Olivia,
but
she's got some strength to her. I think that she could be useful, but also she knows how to like make things, and that's very useful.
She is useful, yeah, but she wants to have lots of kids and so repopulating too. Like I think we would all be like wanting to try to keep her going. And that, but
it isn't going to be me that's having lots of kids.
Do other families like sit around and talk about this like we do?
I think there's got to be other families that do it too, because it's an interesting topic. Like you want who would survive in the apocalypse in your family. It's something that you just like want to know.
This is dinner table talk in our family. Like this is what we talk about. This is what we think about, and we laugh about it. It's funny, but. At the same time, I think it's important to be prepared for these things. And, like, we know, like, zombies aren't going to rise, obviously, and that. But, like, it's just funny to talk about.
It's also good to know, like, your strengths.
It is. It is.
So let us know in the comments who you think in your family would survive the apocalypse.
Yeah, like, what would be your skills and, or how do you think it would end, or how would you want it to end if it was gonna end?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, or what's your favorite, apocalypse movie or TV show? Like, maybe of one that we haven't seen.
Yeah, that's
oh my God.
I'd want to know,
Let us know. We totally want to see it. I just watched the other day, I Think We're Alone Now with Peter Dinklage and Elle Fanning. I thought it was great. It was a real think piece, I think, too. Like, it was a little different, And I really enjoyed that, but I love to hear about other movies and TV shows that are out there. Fallout, oh my God, it was all about Fallout recently. Yeah. So, let us know.
Well, I think that's all the time we have, so thank you for joining us.
Remember that God loves you, and I'm sending angels your way.
If you'd like to know more about Missy Reno Smith, her readings, her artwork, please visit MissyRenoSmith.com. You can also find In Spirit Podcast on TikTok, X, and Instagram, as well as YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.